Hi, hello, I'm Andy Brandt and I'm with Jeff Gothelf today, author of a well-known Lean UX book and another book by Harvard Business Review Press, Sense and Respond. And Jeff is a coach, he's a trainer, and a very experienced person when it comes to developing products. I've met Jeff when he was introducing the new professional Scrum with UX training with Scrum.org. But he's doing a workshop concentrating on Lean UX for us here in Warsaw on May 28th. And we'll be talking a while about stuff related to product development, right? You want to add anything to what I just said about you? Did I miss something?
No, I think it's all correct, and it's good to be here and chatting with you, Andy. So thanks for having me. And yeah, well, that's a really good introduction.
Okay. So I had this observation that because we work with different companies, and so happens, by the way, that we kind of end up at financial institutions recently, and we usually are working on the fringes of a digital transformation or something of that kind. And we obviously are teaching and helping and consulting in terms of introducing agile processes and practices and all of that. And they usually have some trainings in design thinking going on at the same time. And it's actually happening at one of our clients right now, that they have they took their product owners and chief product owners to a design thinking training. And it's a very good thing. It's a very good approach. And they also, obviously, they read Lean Startup and they are into Lean. But you know, they kind of hope this will magically bring success, but it doesn't work. So they're kind of disappointed. And yeah, what would you say to that? How Lean UX is going to help here?
Yeah, so it's a good start, right? So getting those people exposed to the ideas of design thinking is a good start. They'll be exposed to the right concepts, the right activities, the right frame of mind for approaching some of this new way of working. The challenge is then, how do you integrate design thinking and agile software development and agile product ownership and product management and so forth, right? That's the thing that's primarily missing from these design thinking conversations in a lot of ways. The Lean UX conversation was born out of that exact challenge. You know, I was working as a design leader on a team that was changing the way that they were working from traditional waterfall to agile. This was 12 years ago. Yikes. I hate to say that number, but I think it's true. 11, 12 years ago. And I was in a position where I had to figure out how the design works. So design with a capital D, sort of the umbrella term for all the different types of design work, takes place in this agile workflow. And the most difficult challenge was reconciling what the goal was for the teams. It felt like no matter how we tried to reconcile the processes, you had an engineering team that was focused on one goal, and you had a design team that was focused on a separate goal. And to be clear, those goals were, the design team was focused on delivering a great customer experience, a great user experience, which is a bit nebulous, right? What is that? What makes it great? How do we know it's great? What's great enough?
Yeah.
Right.
The clients are happy.
Yeah, exactly. And then the engineering team was focused on works as designed and velocity, which is a very concrete binary goal, right? Does it do the things that it needs to do? Yes, right, or no? Did we burn through more points than the last sprint? Yes or no? And so those were easy binary goals for the development team to work on. And then here comes the UX team saying, that's great that it works as designed, but nobody can use it, right? So yes, you can complete a purchase through this process, but no one can figure out how to actually complete a purchase through this process. And that's where the friction comes in. And that's where the Lean UX conversation really got interesting, which was, how do you bring these folks together? How do you get them aligned on a shared goal? How do you build a shared understanding of the problem they're trying to solve for customers? And then I think even more importantly is, how do you build a new definition of done? In other words, one that both of those disciplines can focus on.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I think it's broader than the teams, because there's this larger divide usually. There is this large container, sometimes it's more than one, but there's this large container which has IT on top of it, and then there's another container, usually more than one, which has business on top. And the way it works usually is those folks all are concerning themselves with the stability and number of bugs and issues on production and stuff like that. And it's worthwhile, before it can deliver happy experience, it first to have work. But these guys are concerned with market share and stuff like that. But somehow it's really hard to push those groups together. And now there's this concept that you can achieve that by pulling from the business group an omniscient, powerful product owner to solve all that. But usually that doesn't work very well. Mm-hmm. So this is where I see the value of what you are talking and writing about, which is trying to make them understand that the processes are there, they are needed to enable building great products, but they are not enough. You have to do something more. Mm-hmm. Is that what you are trying to do? That's what I shared my understanding of it. Anyway.
Look, I'm trying to change the conversation from let's deliver software to let's change customer behavior for the better. That's at the highest level. That's the conversation I want to change. And that conversation applies at every level of the organization. So it applies at the team level, and it applies at the product owner and the middle management layer, and it applies at the corporate strategic layer. And it's a very difficult conversation. Why? Because we're dealing with 100 years of historical momentum that tells us that making stuff, producing our product, our service, and producing more of that product or service more quickly and more efficiently is the way to deliver value. Now, that's true in manufacturing, right? When you're making a physical object and you know that people want it and you know what they'll do with it and you know what they'll pay for it. And so you can maximize, you can minimize the costs of production and maximize the efficiency of producing the thing. But our businesses run on technology today. They run on software. And making more software does not mean that you are delivering more value to your customers. All it means is that you're making more software. That's it. And so we want to make sure that the software that we make that helps drive our businesses positively impacts the behavior of our customers and our users. And shifting that conversation from output, from making stuff, to outcomes, changing behavior, is where I focus the Lean UX conversation, the sense and respond conversation, the workshops, the trainings, the coachings, because it's not easy, right? People still get incentivized. There's still this belief that you made the iPhone app, therefore your team was successful, right? And my question to you would say, well, did anyone download your app? Did anyone use it? Did they buy stuff from you through the app? Are they more loyal customer? Et cetera. Like, we can go through this forever, but the point is I want to focus on behavior rather than producing stuff.
Mm-hmm. There is another nice thing about this transition, because first of all, once the Sharpie or pen that you were just holding in your hand, once it leaves your factory, you are unable to change it. Whereas with software, right now, thanks to technology, we can change it and tweak it all the time. But more than that, the pen is not going to be telling us all the time how it's being used and how much time it's spending in the drawer, whereas software is like a probe into the market telling us real time what's happening there. And I don't see that value being exploited. Still, this push mindset, we build the product, we design the product, and then we push it onto our clients, and that's that. Whereas there is this other side. How is that covered in this Lean UX mindset or conversation that you mentioned?
Yeah. So again, and you're spot on with your assessment, right? We're not building a thing, we're building systems. And we're building continuous systems that we can work on forever. Now, there's a tremendous opportunity there and a tremendous responsibility there. The opportunity is exactly what you said. By building these systems, continuous systems, we can get continuous feedback from the market, right? So you're right. The Sharpie doesn't tell me what people are doing with it. But certainly the apps on my phone do, the technology, if you drive a connected car like a Tesla, it does, right? And so as an organization, you have an opportunity to learn continuously and then to respond, right? To sense and to respond what people are doing with it, what's working well, and then let's make it better. So you're continuously improving that. And again, that's where the responsibility comes in, is to say, well, what do we improve? Well, we improve the things that make our customers more successful. And so how do we know that? Well, we measure, right? We analyze the metrics. We talk to our customers. We run experiments. We do research to understand why they're doing certain things. And then we ship these updates and see if we're right? We see if it changes customer behavior for the better. Now, the nice thing is that the better we get at this continuous conversation with the market, the faster we can do it. And the faster we can do it, the less we invest in it, which means that if we're wrong, we can change. It's less painful to change course. And so our goal is to learn quickly, to change course, to be agile. And at the center of all of that is the customer and designing a great experience for that customer.
Mm-hmm. So I was wondering, because you are striving, or you are maybe succeeding in some places in being like a connector of those different lines of thinking and approaches. That's how I read your work. So you have this design thing, what I mentioned at the start of our talk. Now, do you think a role like that in companies would help to have something like a local Jeff trying to pull all those different departments and processes and specialties together?
Look, to me, this is the role of a chief product officer, or a chief product owner, somebody in a product leadership position, right? It's their responsibility to pull together the needs of the business, the needs of the customer, and the needs of the technology and the capabilities of technology into a process, into a way of working that maximizes the benefits of all of those things. Right. Sometimes some organizations get lucky and they have a chief experience officer or chief design officer. But realistically, it's design, it's product, it's engineering. And more often than not, right, I think that this is a chief product officer role. And organizations absolutely would benefit from someone in that role who understands technology, who understands the customer, and who understands the business and can really bring them together in this customer-centric way.
Okay, so how much of that can you teach in a one-day workshop? I think that's a question that many people looking at the webpage, looking at the agenda, will ask themselves.
That's a very fair question. In this one-day workshop, I will teach you to reframe the work that you're doing as a problem to solve. This is fundamental to actually changing the way an organization works. So how do we move away from build me an app to help me increase this mobile commerce sales, right? So how do we reframe the work as a business problem to solve? How do we start the conversation about the assumptions that are baked into every solution that we come up with? And be very explicit that these are our best guesses. And then how do we start to build and design the experimentation processes and techniques that teach us whether or not we're working on the right things, designing them the right way, implementing them the right way. And then the last thing that I can make it through, usually in a one-day class, is the challenges. We talk a lot about the challenges of doing this kind of product discovery work while still having to deliver software. So how do we balance discovery and delivery in an agile cadence, in a Scrum cadence. And we talk about that, and I give you some tips and tricks, some tools that you can use to make sure that this conversation happens at every sprint, at every iteration planning meeting, at every retrospective, so that we're always focused on the right goals. And that's what I can get through in a day.
Okay, so that's a lot. But is it fair to say that so we definitely won't be teaching people agile, we won't be teaching people design thinking or lean startup or any of that, but you will tell them or help them form a mindset that will allow them to use all those to the advantage of their products and their businesses.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, look, I take pieces of all of those elements in the class, right? So clearly there will be agile elements in the class, but I'm not teaching Scrum. Clearly there will be lean startup elements in the class, but I'm not teaching lean startup. Clearly there will be design thinking elements in there, and it's not a pure design thinking course, right? It's all of those elements pulled together into a way of working that I've implemented myself on multiple teams, both in-house and as a consultant. I've seen it work. I've evolved it over the years. I've been continuously learning over the years. I mean, the way I teach this course today versus the way I was teaching it 10 years ago is remarkably different. I was looking at some old slide decks, in fact, recently, and it's amazing how far it's come. But the core principles are the same, right? Yeah. And so the techniques have evolved a bit, but that's yes, and that exactly. How do we make sense out of all of this stuff?
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I see a lot of value in your work and in that workshop, because and that way I've been talking about Agile Flair. Before you can do decently tested software very often. Only once you are able to do that, you can move on to all those great things. But you have to know how to use that power that Agile gives you, and that's what you are about. I'm very happy that we'll have you here in Poland, because I think we can benefit from your experience and knowledge. So thank you for your time, and see you in Warsaw in May.
Yeah, my pleasure. I'm really looking forward to it, Andy.